Behind my back, my husband, Marcus, let his childhood sweetheart, a widow named June, move into the apartment the factory had assigned to me. When I found out, they both cried and begged me not to throw her out. In a moment of weakness, I let them stay. But slowly, things started to disappear. First, the grain and meat ration tickets. Then the television and the radio. He even gave the gold jewelry my mother had given me as a dowry to that woman and her son. Furious, I wrote a letter to the factory, reporting them for improper conduct. When Marcus came home, his face was as dark as a thundercloud. He slammed a yellow envelope onto the table. The words "report letter" were scrawled across it in glaring red ink, but it wasn't my handwriting. Because of this letter, June was fired from the factory. "Anna," he demanded, his voice low and dangerous, "did you write this?" "Yes," I answered without looking up. I had no idea which of my comrades had added those 3 bold words for me. His eyes widened in disbelief. He couldn't understand why I would report my own husband for having an affair. He slammed his hand on the table, his voice rising with agitation. "Are you insane? I just got promoted to deputy director. My seat isn't even warm yet, and you're already trying to drag me down. I don't get it. What do you gain by reporting your own husband?" What did I gain? I didn't really know myself. If Marcus was demoted, I, as his wife, would likely be ostracized at the factory as well. But a knot of resentment had been tightening in my chest for months, and I felt if I didn't do something, I would suffocate. 6 months ago, Marcus's childhood sweetheart had shown up at our door, a sobbing mess. She was a widow with a young son, she said, with nowhere to go. I had felt a pang of pity and agreed to let her stay in the spare apartment. The letter I wrote detailed everything I had witnessed between him and June over the past 3 months. Maybe I just wanted someone to tell me I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't, as he so often claimed, just being unreasonable. Ever since June and her son arrived, Marcus had been working late almost every night. But when I went to bring him dinner, I'd find him at her apartment, his arms laden with rice, flour, oil, and the monthly ration tickets for cloth and meat that the factory distributed. He would lift her son into his arms, cooing like a doting father. "A growing boy needs to eat plenty of meat," he'd say. "And here are some cloth tickets. Go make yourself some new clothes." Marcus had told me meat rations were scarce, so I rarely ate any myself, saving it all for him. To think that all my scrimping and saving was going to feed someone else. I looked down at my own faded, worn-out clothes, then thought of June's ever-changing wardrobe of new dresses. A wave of self-pity washed over me. I couldn't understand it. I had been the one to offer her shelter out of the kindness of my heart. Why did I now feel like the one who was a guest in someone else's home, with nothing to my name? "I asked you a question. Are you deaf? Is this how a wife is supposed to act? Other people don't even have electricity, and I let you have a television. Do you have any idea that if June hadn't taken all the blame today, I would have been the one who was fired? You wouldn't be living this good life then." His words pulled me back to the present. I poked at the pickled vegetables and plain white rice in my bowl. It was tasteless, just like my life. It was hard to swallow. So hard, it brought tears to my eyes. Was I right to give up my dream of going south with my classmates to start a business, all for him? I put down my bowl, my voice hoarse. Today is the anniversary of my parents' death. They didn't leave me much. That set of gold jewelry was the most valuable thing. Did you give it to her? His eyes darted away, his bravado gone. June has never seen anything so fine. I just lent it to her for a few days. Don't be so stingy. So, it was true. I laughed, a cold, bitter sound. I couldn't suppress the wave of anger and hurt any longer. You knew how much that jewelry meant to me. I never even wore it myself. What gives you the right to give it to her? Look around this house. From the television and sofa to the pots and pans, you've moved everything to her place. This apartment is practically empty. Isn't that enough? He glanced around the room, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. All right, it's not a big deal. She'll return it in a few days. If you really want, I'll buy you a new set. He softened his tone, reaching for me, but I slapped his hand away. I looked up at him, my eyes swimming with tears. How can anything you buy compare to what my parents left me? I want my things back. The year I graduated from university, there was a fire at my parents' factory. They died trying to save it. The factory, in recognition of their sacrifice, gave me an extra apartment. Marcus had been the one to handle the paperwork. Now, the home and the jewelry my parents had left me had all been given away by him. Why? They were mine. I would get them back. I grabbed his hand and pulled him towards the door. We're going to get my things back right now. And she's not staying in my apartment another night. To take advantage of someone's kindness like that, it was unthinkable. We had just stepped into the courtyard when he wrenched his hand away. It's dark out. What's wrong with you? His strength sent me stumbling backward, knocking over a bamboo drying rack. A pole struck me on the head, and my vision blurred. He was frightened then, rushing to catch me as I swayed. For the first time in 3 months, he spoke to me with a shred of patience, but his words weren't of concern for me, but a plea for her. Anna, June's husband, died young. She's a widow with a child. It's a pitiful situation. When she came to me, she didn't even have enough to eat. You know this. I sneered. So, because I wasn't as pitiful as her, I was supposed to give her everything I owned, without a single complaint? A heavy wave of disappointment washed over me. I understand, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. I won't stand in your way anymore. Marcus, let's get a divorce. In those days, divorce was a scandal. It meant facing the judgment of everyone you knew. Many people chose to suffer in silence rather than endure the shame. But I was alone. I had nothing to fear. And besides, I was leaving soon. The commotion in the courtyard had attracted the attention of our neighbor, Mrs. Wong, the head of the women's committee. She arrived just in time to hear my declaration. You can't get a divorce. You have a good life, she exclaimed, stomping her foot. Marcus quickly chimed in. Mrs. Wong, you're just in time. Help me talk some sense into Anna. She's been acting possessed lately, trying to report me to the factory. Mrs. Wong had been a close friend of my mother's. She gave me a complicated look and pulled me into her house. Anna, everyone at the factory knows Marcus is a good man. These past few months, everyone has been saying you're the one who's ungrateful and causing trouble. He's a deputy director at such a young age, with a bright future, and he's good to you. You can't throw this away. 4 months, I had endured the whispers and stares at work. They called me a shrew who was destroying her own home, a wicked woman who bullied a poor widow and her child. Instigated by June, they had isolated me, shunned me. I, who had once loved my job, now dreaded going to the factory. I knew Mrs. Wong genuinely cared for me, so I told her the truth. Auntie Wong, he has another woman. That's impossible, she gasped. I told her everything. She was about to march over and confront Marcus, but I stopped her. Auntie Wong, I hear the foreign trade business in the South is booming. I want to try my luck there. I've already submitted my resignation. Please, keep this a secret. Don't let Marcus know. While Marcus was spending his days at June's, I had already bought my train ticket south. I had also contacted an old classmate, Rachel, who had arranged a place for me to stay. At first, she had been hesitant. Are you sure you can leave your man? It's a long way. You might not see him for a year. Before, I wouldn't have been able to. He was handsome, ambitious, and good to me. Everyone said I must have done something good in a past life to deserve him. But only I knew the truth. I was just a substitute. He and June had left their village together to find work, but had been separated and married other people. Now that she was back, I was being cast aside. In that case, not seeing him was for the best. It was pitch black when I returned from Mrs. Wong's, but I could see Marcus waiting for me at the door, holding a lantern. You're back so late, he said, rushing to meet me. You barely ate anything. I made you some noodles with 2 eggs. It'll get cold if you don't eat it now. I was wrong today. I'll go get your things back from June first thing in the morning. Fine, I said, my voice flat. Just as he closed the door, there was a frantic knocking. Deputy Director, it's terrible. June tried to drown herself and the boy in the river. What? Marcus panicked, dropping the lantern. The man who had brought the news gasped for breath. They've been saved, but they won't stop crying. They say without a job, they can't go on. Hearing they were safe, Marcus let out a sigh of relief. But then he looked at me, his eyes cold. It was your letter that cost her her job. You're coming with me. When we arrived, Mrs. Wong was already there, along with a crowd of curious onlookers. Marcus rushed into the house, not noticing that I was blocked at the door by a young boy. Before I could react, he started wailing. It's all your fault. You made my mommy lose her job. You're trying to kill us. The crowd started murmuring. A widow and her child, it's a pitiful situation. That Anna seems so quiet, but she's a real snake. She even framed her own husband. Poor Marcus, marrying a woman like that. These were mostly people who resented me for having a skilled, less strenuous job at the factory. They had never liked me. Mrs. Wong, unable to stand the sight of them bullying me, shooed them all out of the courtyard. Inside, only a few of us remained. June's dress was only half wet, but the handkerchief in her hand was soaked through. When she saw me, her crying intensified. She grabbed my arms, refusing to let go. Sister Anna, please, give me a way to live. My husband died young. It's hard enough for a widow and her child. Now, because of your letter, I've lost my job. If this goes on, I'll have no choice but to take my son and jump in the river. Her wails gave me a headache. I instinctively tried to pull away. I barely used any force, but she collapsed to the ground. Marcus tried to help her up, but she refused, even kneeling before me. I know you're angry with Marcus, but your letter could have gotten him fired. I couldn't let that happen, so I took the blame. It's my own fault, really. All I ask now is that you let us live. We have nowhere else to go but this apartment. So that was it. This whole dramatic scene was because she was afraid I would kick her out. Her words had their intended effect. The look in Marcus's eyes was beyond anger. He knelt and helped her up. This time, she didn't refuse. Don't worry, he said. You lost your job because of me. From now on, I'll take care of you and the boy. I snorted. You'll take care of them? Fine. Divorce me, and you can take care of them however you want. His pupils contracted. He narrowed his eyes. Are you trying to provoke me, Anna? Do you think I don't have the guts? I was provoking him. I had brought it up many times, but he always refused. I knew he was afraid of June being labeled a homewrecker. She was already a widow with a child, the subject of enough gossip as it was. Anna, can you stop this? I've explained it so many times. I only see June as a sister. Can't you just see her as a sister too, and help me take care of them? Even Mrs. Wong couldn't take it anymore. Marcus, come outside with me for a minute. He followed her out, leaving me alone with June. Give me back my things, I said, getting straight to the point. She retrieved a box from the back room and tossed it at me, her expression arrogant, all traces of her earlier pitiful act gone. You mean this junk? Marcus said you treasured it, but I took a look, and it's all old-fashioned stuff. Who would want it? I opened the box. The necklace and earrings were bent and twisted, clearly intentionally. Who did this? She feigned surprise. The boy was just playing. It can be fixed. Her son, hiding behind her, suddenly spat at me. Bad woman. Trying to steal my daddy Marcus. Daddy Marcus. I shoved her aside, stormed into the back room, and started smashing everything in sight. I dismantled the bed and threw the bedding out the window. This is my apartment. What gives you the right to live here? Get out. June's face contorted with rage. Her screams brought Mrs. Wong and Marcus running back in. Seeing her protector, she immediately drooped, wringing her hands, the picture of a victim. Marcus, she's trying to drive me to my death. She was certain he would defend her. Are you okay? He asked. But he was looking at me. I was stunned. Had Mrs. Wong said something to him? For once, he wasn't angry. He gave me a complicated look, then turned to June. You'll stay with Mrs. Wong for a few days. Give me some time to find you another place. June looked at him in disbelief, but eventually nodded. As she left, however, she shot me a look of pure hatred. It was a look that said, "You'll pay for this." Back at our apartment, the adrenaline faded, and a sharp pain started in my leg. I had been scalded by the boiling water from the kettle I had smashed. Noticing my limp, Marcus stopped and swept me into his arms. Before, I would have buried my face in his chest, blushing. Now, I felt stiff and awkward. He gently placed me on a stool and began to apply ointment to the burn. I tried to do it myself, but he insisted. Anna, Mrs. Wong made me realize. I have been neglecting you because of June. I felt sorry for her, raising a child alone, but I forgot that in this world, you only have me. I bit my lip, saying nothing. A part of me was touched, but a larger part was unmoved. He said he saw her as a sister, but what kind of brother visits his sister's house every day? What kind of sister's son calls her brother daddy? Seeing my silence, he continued. On the way back, I thought about it. There's only one solution. You go to the factory and retract your report. Say you made it all up. That way, June can get her job back, and she and her son will have a way to live. If the factory punishes you, I'll take the blame. If you lose your job, I'll support you. Wouldn't that be a happy ending for everyone? I looked up at him, at his self-righteous expression, as if I had never truly seen him before. Why should I sacrifice my own interests for a woman who had tried to steal my husband and had been working against me at every turn? And in his eyes, it was the most natural thing in the world. The flicker of emotion I had felt was gone. It was laughable. My gaze fell on him. And if I'm not willing? He paused in his application of the ointment, his face instantly turning cold. You were the reason she lost her job. Why wouldn't you be willing? I'm cleaning up your mess. I laughed silently. He seemed to have forgotten that June's job in the first place had been a result of my own soft-heartedness. I had told him I needed an assistant, and he had suggested her. Otherwise, with her lack of qualifications, how could she have become an accountant? If you're not willing, then I'll just have to keep taking things from our home to support them. The choice is yours. He was threatening me. I knew if I didn't agree, he would fight me on this all night. I sighed, finally letting go of the last shred of hope for the man before me. Fine. I agree. I'll go to the director tomorrow and retract the report. A smile finally broke through his grim expression. He gave me a gentle hug. I knew you were the most virtuous wife. From now on, we'll live a good life, no more fighting. When I arrived at the train station, Marcus was still asleep. He didn't know I had already resigned from the factory, but it didn't matter. I had said my goodbyes to Mrs. Wong. She would handle the apartment for me. And as the neighborhood's unofficial information hub, she would make sure everyone knew I had been driven away by Marcus and June. In time, when I filed for divorce, I wouldn't be the one to be judged. In Guangzhou, my old classmate Rachel was waiting for me, holding a sign with my name on it. Anna. Over here. I've been waiting for you. So, what kind of business are you planning to start? See if I can help. I'm going into fashion. After settling in, I called the factory and asked for Mrs. Wong. According to her, Marcus had discovered I was gone that evening. At first, he was worried. But when he found out I had resigned and bought a train ticket south, he had been so angry he had smashed half the pots and pans in the house. The thought of him, furious and helpless, brought a small measure of satisfaction, a release from the months of suffocation. As Mrs. Wong and I were catching up, a familiar male voice, tight with anger, came on the line. Anna, Mrs. Wong said, Marcus wants to talk to you. I agreed. I could still hear the suppressed rage in his voice over the phone. You went south to start a business? It's none of your business. He laughed, a humorless sound. You think business is that easy? Many men can't handle it. You think a woman can compete with a pack of hungry wolves? Anna, I know you don't want to help June get her job back. I won't force you. If you come home now, I can pretend this never happened. We can still go home? Go home to what? To watch you play daddy to another man's son? When did I ever? He started to explain, then just gave up. If you don't come back, you'll regret it. I knew what he was thinking. He would let me suffer for a while, and then I would come crawling back, ready to be a dutiful wife and tolerate his arrangement with June. But I had no time for regret. I was busy selecting fabrics, designing patterns, studying the latest fashion trends from abroad. In just 6 months, my designs were being sold in stores all along the coast. It hadn't been easy. I had spent 2 weeks on a boat, seasick the entire time, just to secure a supply chain. I had gone door to door in the dead of winter, trying to sell my clothes, only to be rejected time and time again. But no matter how hard it got, I never once thought of going back to Marcus. Finally, I was starting to see some success. Rachel came to find me while I was selecting fabrics for my next collection. Get dressed up tonight, she said mysteriously. I'm taking you to meet someone who can bring you a huge deal. I trusted her. She had been the one to help me get the permits for my first shipment. But I never expected to see Marcus. He was clearly stunned to see me. The fashionable woman before him bore no resemblance to the woman in the faded floral jacket from his memory. I, however, just gave him a cursory glance and looked towards the head of the table. Rachel introduced me warmly. Anna, this is Mr. Chen, the general manager of Tiandi Maui. His department store has the highest sales volume in the coastal region. Mr. Chen, this is Ms. Anna Lin, the founder of the Nanjiang brand. Everything she touches turns to gold. At Rachel's introduction, a complicated expression crossed Marcus's face. Mr. Chen greeted me briefly, then got straight to the point. You've come at an inopportune time. I was very satisfied with the terms offered by Mr. Zhou here. My retail space is limited, so I'm afraid you've wasted a trip. I wasn't angry. I knew Marcus's factory. They were efficient, but their products were outdated. They must have been struggling to sell in their local market, which is why they were trying to expand to the coast. Understanding this, I spoke without hesitation. Mr. Chen, I'm familiar with Mr. Zhou's products. I can't compete with his prices, but I can guarantee that my products will sell better. Why don't we do a trial run? Let Mr. Zhou and I each have a counter, and you can see for yourself which one performs better. He looked at me with a glimmer of appreciation, then nodded. You two know each other? He asked, his eyes moving between us. No, I said. The color drained from Marcus's face. After dinner, as I was saying goodbye to Rachel and about to hail a cab, Marcus emerged from the shadows. He had clearly been waiting for a while, his hair was damp with the night air. He grabbed my wrist, his grip so tight it hurt. Come home with me. What a joke. I wrenched my hand away. Fine. After this is over, I'll go back with you to sign the divorce papers. He gritted his teeth. I don't agree. I won't divorce you. I was just being nice to my sister. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should we get a divorce? Anna, this is between us. Can you stop being so self-righteous? Seeing that he was still completely unrepentant, I didn't want to waste another word on him. But he blocked my path again. Let's talk. Let's clear the air. Sitting in the restaurant's lobby, Marcus, for the first time, seemed uncomfortable in my presence. I haven't gotten used to you being gone. The food doesn't taste right without you. I found it amusing. He had given away so many of our ration tickets. Hadn't June ever cooked him a decent meal? I remembered how I had saved food from my own plate to bring to him, only for him to give it to her. I remembered her smugly showing me the lunchbox he had given her. The food is too salty today, I can't eat it, she had said. I'll feed it to the watchdog. You don't mind, do you? Marcus. is so worried I'll go hungry. He gives me so many tickets and so much money, I can't even use it all. Sometimes I just give it away. A wave of disgust washed over me. If you're going to keep talking nonsense, I'm leaving. Marcus, I really don't think you're much of a man. His face darkened. What do you mean? Over the past 6 months, I had occasionally kept in touch with Mrs. Wong. She told me that Marcus hadn't stopped supporting June and her son. He had even managed to get her job back at the factory, though it was a much more strenuous position as a sales clerk. I laughed, my contempt unconcealed. Ever since June showed up, all the kindness you ever showed me vanished like a puff of smoke. But you were too concerned with your reputation to divorce me. You pine for your childhood sweetheart, but you're too afraid of being judged to admit it, so you help her in secret. If you truly had a clear conscience, you wouldn't be so wishy-washy. You're a coward. He knew I had a soft heart. He knew I couldn't even bear to see a stray cat suffer. He had counted on that when he had taken June in behind my back. He had even used her and her son to play the victim, to force me to let them stay. But now, I realized I should be grateful. If he hadn't forced me to shed my soft-heartedness, I never would have achieved what I have today. His face went from red to white. He was speechless. As I was about to leave, he finally found his voice. Is that really what you think of me? But Anna, I never lied to you. I have only ever seen June as a sister. I had a younger sister. She and June were very close. The 3 of us grew up together. She drowned in the river when she was young. After that, I always thought of June as my own sister. I swear it's the truth. His earnest declaration was so ridiculous, I laughed out loud. Marcus, do you really think that matters? No matter what excuse you come up with now, the hurt you both caused me is real. Whether you see her as a sister or a wife, it makes no difference to me anymore. The only path forward is divorce. After the Tiandi Maui deal is settled, we will go back and get the papers. I walked away, my heels clicking on the pavement. I heard him muttering to himself, how did it come to this? Just a year ago, we were the factory's model couple. I won't accept this. There has to be another way. I shook my head and walked faster. A week later, our trial sales began at Tiandi Maui. Our counters were on the same floor, directly across from each other. I immediately spotted June, dressed in a sales clerk's uniform, trying desperately to attract customers. But no matter how hard she tried, a steady stream of people flowed into my store. She stomped her foot in frustration. Then, she saw me, with my high heels and wavy hair, and it took her a few seconds to recognize me. Anna, what are you doing here? She walked over, carrying a tray of tea for customers, her chin held high. Don't think a change of clothes means you belong in a place like this. You can't afford anything here. You should leave. Her eyes darted around nervously, as if she were afraid Marcus would see me. Oh, you mean that junk that no one wants to buy? I wouldn't take it if you gave it to me for free. See that store across the way? That's mine. She was about to throw the tea at me, but I was faster. I snatched the cup and splashed it in her face. It seemed she hadn't learned her lesson from the day I had smashed up her apartment. I might be kind, but I was not a doormat. She wiped the water from her face, her hand raised to strike me. But then, she caught sight of Marcus and slapped herself instead. Sister Anna, I was wrong. I shouldn't have come to Marcus. It's all my fault, don't blame him. Marcus, seeing this, had a flicker of pity in his eyes. I did ask you to come and apologize to Anna, but you don't have to humiliate yourself like this. Anna is not that cruel. Oh, but I am. I slapped her twice, right in front of him. If we were going to put on a show, we might as well do it properly. Stunned, she glared at me and ran off. Marcus looked at me apologetically. You've taught her a lesson. Take the rest of your anger out on me. Hit me, curse me, whatever you want. Just come home. June, seeing this, became agitated. Marcus, how can you beg her like that? You should be fighting to win back the business, to show her how capable you are. Without this deal, how will our factory survive? I didn't know when he had become so blind. Even June understood the stakes. When the sales figures came out that day, Marcus returned to his factory, completely dejected. A month later, after tying up all my loose ends, I returned to the place where I had lived for so many years, ready to sever my final ties. As I approached the apartment, I could hear shouting from inside. June's shrill voice was piercing. Marcus, you're so useless. You can't even compete with that bitch Anna. You lost the business, got fired from the factory, and now I've lost my job too. I don't care. You have to find me a job. Or we'll die right here in front of you. I had heard about this. Many of the local factories were struggling, and there had been a wave of layoffs. Marcus, pushed to his limit by her hysterics, finally exploded. June, you tell me, have I not treated you well all these years? I gave you everything I had, even fought with Anna for you. How can you say this to me now? Don't you have a conscience? There was a moment of silence, then the sound of a bowl smashing. Why should I have a conscience? Because you wouldn't divorce me. I've had to endure so many insults and so much gossip. Everyone calls me a shameless homewrecker. If I had known this would happen, I would have made my report even more exaggerated, to force you to divorce her. At those words, both Marcus and I froze. He asked the question that was in my mind. Wasn't it Anna who wrote that? What does it have to do with you? Huh. Anna is too soft-hearted. The things she wrote were nothing. Luckily, I added a letter of my own to blow things up. Marcus was completely stunned. Why would you do that? Because I wanted to marry you. Otherwise, with you bringing me things every day, I would have drowned in gossip. But who knew you were such a coward you wouldn't even dare to get a divorce? I finally understood everything. From the very beginning, she had been trying to force him to divorce me. By taking the blame for the letter, she had deepened his guilt and pity for her. At the time, his future was bright. Even if she didn't have a job, it wouldn't have mattered. But he had refused to divorce me, and now he had been fired. She was no longer reaping the benefits of his generosity, so she had shown her true colors. The shouting inside had stopped. June came out with her son. When she saw me, her usual arrogance was gone. She quickly looked away and hurried off. The neighbors who had been listening at their doors spat on the ground as she passed. I went inside. The apartment was a wreck. Marcus sat at the table, his face a mask of pain, with several fresh scratches on his cheeks. When he saw me, a flicker of hope appeared in his eyes. Anna, you're back. You know why I'm here, I said, my voice flat. His face, which had been flushed with anger, turned pale. You were right. I was completely wrong. I shouldn't have used your kindness to force you to let June and her son stay. I shouldn't have disregarded your feelings and supported them without any boundaries. I know I brought this on myself, but I still want to beg you for a chance to make it up to you. He had come from nothing. I had never seen him look so defeated. But I only felt disgust. First, he wanted to compensate his childhood sweetheart. Now, he wanted to compensate me. Who knew who he would be compensating next? I don't need your compensation. And in your current state, you have nothing to offer. If you act like a man and divorce me cleanly, I might even have a shred of respect for you. The last bit of color drained from his face. After a long moment, he finally nodded. It was only when I held that thin piece of paper in my hand that my heart finally felt at ease. Riding the wave of economic reform, I built my own empire. I bought the old factory, my parents' factory, and transformed it, producing fashionable clothing instead of outdated goods. I couldn't bear to see the place they had died for simply disappear. It was late when I left the signing. Mrs. Wong came to pick me up. We passed a sweet potato vendor. The woman's face was covered in chilblains. Swollen and red. I couldn't make out her features in the dark. I felt a pang of pity and was about to buy some, but Mrs. Wong pulled me back. That's June, she said. She and your ex-husband ruined their reputations. No factory or shop in the area will hire her. She has to sell sweet potatoes to survive. Not many people buy from her, though. The women despise her, and the men are afraid she'll latch onto them. And her son, he got into a fight and was crippled. He just lies in bed all day, waiting for his mother to support him. She also told me about Marcus. He had become a hopeless drunk, wandering the streets, crying to anyone who would listen, like a fool. All I could say was that everything has its consequences. I returned to Guangzhou. I had the finest craftsman melt down the irreparable jewelry and forge it into a single, simple ring. For the rest of my life, it would serve as a constant reminder, never be soft-hearted without reason. In this new era, one must be decisive and rise with the wind.